You're watching BCTV. We're all about Branford. You're watching BCTV, Branford Government Television, a service of Branford Community Television. This program is brought to you in part through the support of the town of Branford.
All right, I'd like to call this meeting to order. The RTM will be convened on Wednesday, March 13, 2019 at 8 p.m. at the Branford Fire Headquarters, 45 North Main Street, to consider and act upon the following matters. Will everybody please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, will the town clerk please come forward? We have 3 new members of the RTM that need to be sworn in tonight. The 3 new members, please come forward up in the front.
District 3, we have Kathy Troa, District 5, and we have Shida Sumro, District 4. So ladies, please raise your right hands. Do you solemnly swear that you will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Connecticut, so long as you continue a citizen thereof, and that you will faithfully discharge the laws of the town charter and the duties of representative town meeting of the town of Branford to the best of your ability, so help you God? Congratulations, you're official.
All right, now we can do the roll call. Item number 1, roll call.
Okay, Representative Edelman.
Present.
Representative Alphone.
Here.
Representative Anderson.
Here.
Representative Black.
Here.
Representative Brockett.
Here.
Representative Conklin.
Here.
Representative Dunbar.
Present.
Representative Erlinger.
Here.
Representative Everlith. I can say my name. Here. Representative Flanagan.
Here?
Representative Gordon. Not here. Representative Healy.
Present.
Representative Henschel.
Here.
Representative Ingraham.
Here.
Representative Jackson.
Here.
Representative Lawler.
Here.
Representative Leonard.
Here.
Representative Lombardi.
Here.
Representative Preet. No Preet.
Still
Representative Ricchio.
Present.
Representative Sumro.
Yes. Yeah.
Representative Spanik. No. Representative Sullivan.
Here.
Representative Torelli. Representative Traw.
Here.
And Representative Toohill.
Here.
And Representative Walker. Not here. And Representative Wells.
Here.
For ex officios, we have Town Clerk Arpin, and for Selectman Cosgrove. And I believe we have a quorum. Yeah, we have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. We also, I'm going to have some committee changes tonight. Going on Education Committee will be Representative Lombardi and Representative Sumro. Going on Public Services will be Representative Traw, and going on Ways and Means Committee will be Representative Erlangen. Okay.
Mr. Moderator,
Yes.
I'd just like to inquire, is there anybody going on to Anthony's committee, Administrative
No,
Services?
not at this point.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
That's it.
Moderator.
Okay, item number 2, approval of the minutes of the previous meeting. Do I have a motion for approval?
Motion. Second.
A motion, who seconds?
I think, was that Edelman?
Edelman? Okay.
Brockett and Edelman?
Okay. Any discussion on the motion to approve? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved without exception. Item number 3, reception of communications, reports of committees, and citizens' petitions. I do have a letter from the chairman of our R&O committee, Representative Leonard. Pursuant to Branford's town meeting rules, it is the duty of the Rules and Ordinance Committee to maintain a consistent review of the rules and to recommend changes therein to the RTM for action. Study of certain general ordinances shall be the responsibility of this committee. In the interest of simplifying and streamlining Branford's enforcement process, committee members have undertaken this study in hopes of promoting uniform enforcement within the code. To that end, we ask you to add this uniform enforcement review to our agenda. So I will be sending that to Rules and Ordinance Committee. And that's it for item number 4. To consider it appropriate, create an ordinance for tax exemption for handicapped equipped vehicles. Representative Leonard.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This is an ordinance enabling tax exemptions for handicapped vehicles that finally seems to have worked its way through our committee. We've had input from the assessor, we've had input from the finance director, we've had input from the proponents, some of whom are here tonight. The particulars of the ordinance have been circulated to the RTM. What I can say of a general nature is that the tax exemption exempts the vehicle from property tax, separate from adaptations to the vehicle. The vehicle is exempted in its entirety if it's used for the purposes within the ordinance. And this is enabled by state legislation that enables this municipality and others to enable this sort of ordinance. The motion to approve by our committee passed unanimously, and this is after a re-review by town council who approved some minor changes that we made since our last meeting. So on February 19th, we met and voted unanimously to approve as a committee, and I put that in the form of a motion before the body.
Any discussion on the motion? Representative Sullivan? by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The item is re-referred. I am also going to send this item to R&O for review because of some effective code changes that possibility need to be changed on this. So R&O and Admin Services will have this item. Item number 9, to consider and if appropriate, approve request from the Director of Human Services for the following fiscal 19 budget transfer and corresponding resolution from undesignated fund balance, $37,775, to regular wages and salaries, $37,775. Resolved that the Branford RTM approves of the increase in the appropriation for the fiscal year 2019 Human Services Fund balance from $1,480,657 to $1,518,432. This increase will be funded through an appropriation from the fund balance. Representative Alphone.
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Again, Admin Services heard this item on our March 5th committee meeting. This transfer from the Human Services Fund balance, just to be clear, it's not the town fund balance, it is the Human Services Department fund balance, into the regular wages and salaries. Item was actually adjusted during the last budget process last year. So they're just going to use the excess money in their fund balance to hire an additional clinician, which they intended to hire last year. The motion carried through committee with a 4-0 vote, and I'd put that forward as in the form of a motion.
Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
One nay vote, okay. Get that? Okay, item carries. Item 10, to consider and if appropriate, approve a request from the Parks and Recreation for the following budget transfer from fiscal 2019 from contingency, $22,176 to accumulated sick pay, $22,176. Representative Black.
Can I get the microphone, please? Is that one? Oh, yeah, I don't know, that one doesn't. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Ways and Means did not meet this month, so in order to move this item, I'd ask that we suspend Rule 4.41.
Motion on the
Second.
floor to suspend Rule 441. Is there a second?
Second.
There's Representative Sullivan. All those in favor of suspending Rule 441 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
Okay, item carries.
Okay, what this item is there was a long-term employee from the Recreation Department who retired under the contract, the labor relations agreement that we have. He's entitled to a payout of accumulated sick pay. This is a contractually obligated amount that we have to pay. So it's essentially a no-brainer. I mean, unless we want to wait and have the town attorney handle it after we get sued for not meeting our contractual obligation. So I'll put that in the form of a motion that we make this transfer from contingency. Also, for those, particularly the new members, each year the finance department sets aside a guesstimate in contingency for sick pay payouts based on a town-wide look at who might be retiring and what those payouts may be. So the money is not put in the individual department budgets, but there is a reserve kept in contingency. So again, I put that in the form of a motion to move this $22,176 out of contingency to accumulated sick pay for the rec department, and look for a second. Thank you.
Is there a second on that?
Second.
Any discussion?
Just
Representative Sullivan?
through you, Mr. Moderator, Representative Black, this is probably something you might not know, and it's not contingency balance. Do you have any idea of how many more employees in town are still under a contract that gets the sick payout?
I don't.
Yeah, I didn't think, but just be curious. It's during budgets.
The only thing I can say, Representative Sullivan, that because this person was a long-term employee with 31 years service, he fell into this category. But my understanding going forward, as we go down, we won't have to be worried about these long payouts. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The item carries. Item 11, to consider and approve adjusting the Human Resources Director salary for 2019. Representative Alphone?
Thank you, Mr. Moderator. This transfer is to fund the position of a new HR director. This body actually reduced the HR director salary line item last year during the budget process because it was an unfilled position. Now that we have somebody that we've hired, we want to fund it at the full amount. It does not make any changes to the Human Resources total salaries account. It's actually a transfer from a seasonal and part-time position that was not filled. It's all going to be rolled into the new HR director position, and it does not change the overall budget at all. The committee voted on this and approved it unanimously with a 4-0 vote. I put that in the form of a motion.
Okay, any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those...
Mr. Moderator, I have
Yeah,
a quick question
Representative
through you. So with that money coming out of the seasonal and part-time line item, would we expect, or do you know if we expect to have that line item at 25,000 again in the upcoming budget?
I do not know if we have that for the upcoming budget, but I do believe that...
Somebody does.
Jamie might have a better answer than I do. I
Selectman
believe we rolled
Glasgow?
in the risk management position
Yeah.
into the HR director.
Yeah, so to answer your question, Representative Sullivan, the budget that will be presented next week to the Board of Finance will not include that part-time position. Before you, there's not an actual transfer because the required, it's just moving the salary back to salary of $103,000 for this year, and just brought it before this body for a vote for to approve that salary. No transfer is required, but yes, that will be removed. The part-time position of risk manager will be removed, and the full-time HR director will be assuming those full responsibilities.
Thank you.
Any other discussion on this item? Representative Riccio?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Through you, can someone explain to... Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Through you, can someone explain or describe what the part-time risk management position is all about? And who's going to take on? It sounds like the HR director will take that on,
Yes.
but I just want to understand what that is.
So the risk manager, there was actually never, that position was never filled. We did entertain last budget season, because where we were with the HR director position, we did consider looking at bringing in a part-time, creating a part-time position to handle the risk management, working with our insurance, property loss, things like that. But that will fall under the, as it previously was prior to vacancy occurring and the reduction in salary, those responsibilities will be assumed by the HR director.
So, Mr. Moderator, with risk management, there's three areas of risk management. There's interest rate risk, there is market risk, and there's operational risk. So by definition, who's going to take on those three responsibilities? Someone explain that?
Well, the part-time position that you funded at $25,000 wasn't looking at interest rates and risk. Typically, that's handled through our finance department. The role of the risk manager part-time was really working with, our insurance carriers, our contractors, employees to mitigate risk on that and really deal with contracts and employees.
Okay, any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Item carries. Item number 14, any other business to come before the RTM? Representative Henschel.
Yes, Mr. Moderator. I'd just like to read a public announcement for any members of the RTM who may be interested in this. At 12 noon this Friday, March 15th, in over 1,500 cities and 104 countries across the world, high school students will join a movement started by 15-year-old Greta Thunberg in Sweden to protest against the lack of action on the climate crisis. The movement, called Fridays for the Future, has a local Branford chapter started by Branford High School junior Stella Martone. On Friday, students will be leaving school at noon and marching to the green at about 12:20. A few of those students will be giving speeches and have invited guest speakers, possibly including Rosa DeLauro, to speak as well. Now, I understand that opinions about climate change within this august body vary, just as they do in the general public, from those that understand and believe in the science and data of climate change, to skeptics, and to those who believe that climate change is a gigantic hoax. However, whatever your personal beliefs, I think we should support and encourage Branford's young adults to speak and act with passion about their desire for a more sustainable Earth. So I hope to see some of you on Friday at the Green. Thank you. And if you want, there's a map here of cities in the U.S. that are joining in on this, and I'm going to leave this on the table if you're interested in picking up a copy.
Okay, any other business come before the RTM? If not, I just have one announcement that next week the budget process starts, and from my understanding, the budget books will be ready on Friday. Is that correct, Town Clerk Arpin?
They just went to press today, right?
May not be ready, okay. Well, anyways, I encourage the RTM members to attend these meetings. The first one is Monday night, the 18th here. It will help because when you go to your subcommittee meetings, you'll probably have a lot of understanding of what these presenters are talking about. So again, the budget process meetings will be starting next week, and I encourage all the RTM members to attend. If there isn't any other business to come before the RTM, Representative Torelli? Is there a second? Representative Dunbar? Okay, thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned.
This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Brantford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BrantfordTV.org. This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Brantford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BrantfordTV.org. This program was brought to you in part through the support of the Town of Brantford. Watch town meetings and other videos on demand at BrantfordTV.org.